Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of SDWD, a show where we sit down, talk about anything under the sun. That's the worst intro ever for a show. Anyways, let's start off. This week's episode is gonna be about art. I'm not an expert when it comes to art, so I'm gonna be fumbling a lot and I'm not gonna be able to explain things well. This is just me talking about my favorite artwork and artists. Let's start off with this guy, Magritte. I can't speak French, so just please bear with me. He's the guy that painted this thing. It says, "This is not a pipe," underneath the big-ass pipe. He also painted this thing, which is how people should kiss during these times. Magritte's art is easily recognizable. Just look for a guy in a bowler hat. There's a 90% chance that that's probably Magritte. But out of all the bowler hat guys, my favorite painting of his would probably be this. Next one is Van Gogh. Now, it may not be obvious at first sight, but Van Gogh and I have something very, very similar in common. We are both disappointments to our societies and to our families. But the big difference between us is he can express himself by painting things like this, and I make videos like this. Now, I'm not too proud in admitting it, but when I was younger, I didn't really like Van Gogh. I thought he was overrated. It turns out, I'm a dumb fucking kid. Because as popular as Starry Night might be, as recognizable as this whole Van Gogh aesthetic might be, I think his best work is either Potato Eaters, The Skull with a Cigarette, or Shoes. Just Shoes. Now, the next guy on the list is Salvador Dali. If you don't know him, he has a very eccentric personality. He has a pet ocelot. He takes it on walks. Now, one thing that I read about Salvador Dali is he's a very, very, very big fan of physics. He was actually a big fan of Einstein's work. I don't know if that's true or not. I just skimmed through that part. But that explains his whole jig about the melting clock thing, about time not being linear, and I'm just fumbling through this part because I can't explain art. Next in the list is Salvador Dali's best friend, Duchamp. If you don't know this guy, he's a total boss. He made a sculpture out of a urinal and called it a water fountain. And he parodied the Mona Lisa. LHOOQ. I don't know what that means. I don't know why he did that, but it's a very ballsy move, and the next guy on my list has a very, very tragic life story, which you can see from his artwork, because holy shit, his paintings are terrifying. I'm talking about Beksinski. I can't pronounce Polish either, so forgive me for that. If you look at his paintings, just one glance, and you can see that his paintings are inspiration for modern heavy metal aesthetic. One thing that I actually absolutely love about the guy, because he said this about this work, okay? I'm just gonna read this off my laptop because I'm too dumb to memorize this shit. Meaning is meaningless to me. I do not care for symbolism, and I paint what I paint without meditating on a story. He lets his art just be, hey, look at this cool shit, instead of putting some deeper meaning behind it. In the world of art, it just sounds less pretentious to me. I said that this guy has a very tragic life story, but the one that takes the cake is how his life ended. He got into an argument with his housekeeper's son because he wouldn't lend that guy on what would equate to about $100, and then he got stabbed 17 times, something like that, 17 times. I'm going to link a video down in the description which can explain this whole thing about Beksinski a lot more than I can because I keep fumbling. Anyway, now that we've talked about horrifying things, let's talk about them some more. You may not put a mangaka in the same pedestal as the previous artist that I mentioned before, but Junji Ito. Oh my God, whenever he makes a manga, whenever, when you're reading and then he puts you into that situation where, like, the page turner, and then he hits you with this, like, oh my God, those things are terrifying. In an interview, he said that it takes him up to 2 days to make just one page, because he spends so much time on the details, crafting, making sure that whatever you see would just put woo. Now let's move on to another painter that wouldn't traumatize the viewers as much. One of my favorite illustrators ever is Ted Geisel. You may know him as Dr. Seuss or Dr. Seuss. Yeah, Dr. Seuss. There's this secret collection. It's not so much of a secret now. If you go to Google Images and type up Dr. Seuss art, it's literally the first thing that's going to pop up. But it's really cool because in contrast to his usual illustrations, the way that he paints here is just a little bit more. It's still very Dr. Seuss, but you can sense that this isn't Dr. Seuss, the children's book author. This is Ted Geisel. Speaking of children's art books illustrator, there is one more person in this list that I'm gonna add, and you've probably never heard of her. I'm pretty sure, and she is the definition of underrated. She's a personal friend of mine, Ate Carisha. I mean, just look at this. Look at that. The way that she draws reminds me of a certain children's book that I can't remember it. If you know her and you take one look and it's very, oh, wait, it's Ate Carisha that did that. And it sucks that I don't have the money or resources to commission her to write a children's book because her art would be perfect for that. In fact, she was actually kind enough to draw me a request for free. I wasn't expecting it, actually. I didn't come up to her. I was like, hey, can you draw me this for free? And like I would never do that to my artist friends. Just this week, just a couple of days ago, she sent me this, which is really nice and I love it. It's really good. Thank you, Ate. I'm paying you with exposure. I really suck at ending videos, so I'm just gonna clap.